Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In this video I'd like to look at a beautiful VS setup or volume spike setup that's just unfolded on a 3-minute chart of the DAX this morning, which is the 16th of March. It's this setup at the top here. You can see we actually have an automatic MTPredictor DP cell, which actually shows that it's actually divergence on our STF oscillator as well. So it was a MTPredictor trade setup, although against a blue STF. Also, if we look at the Elliott waves going up into here, if we right mouse click do Elliott wave intermediate, you can see that the software has also found this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the high right at the typical wave 5 WPT. So even before we look at the VS or the volume spike setup, there are a couple of other reasons why this could potentially be a good high. First, because at the end of a 5-wave sequence, right at the typical wave 5 WPT and an automatic DP cell on oscillator divergence. But I want to move over to the volume, and I want to show you what I look at here. I'm going to use our training mode to go back to just before the high, which is here. What we look at is, first and foremost, we look at a market that breaks a previous psychological high. So I'm just going to put a high tag on here, and you can see that most amateur traders would look at this and say, yes, here's a potential important high. Let's move forward one bar. This market goes through that high on high volume. Can you see our volume indicator here has gone red? This indicates there's unusually high volume in this particular bar. We only look at these red bars when they break important psychological pivots like this one did here. Most amateur traders would see this as a buying opportunity. However, at MTPredictor we have the advantage because we have our DPs, which are areas of support and resistance. You could have actually had this on the chart even before the market broke this high, but you'd have gone back to this DP here, right mouse click, sorry, this pivot here, right mouse click, put DP. Can you see how the market has gone right into our level here? Now the important thing is to look at the bar afterwards, in other words the next bar, because if the market carries on following through, in other words carrying on higher, it means that this higher volume is indeed buying volume and it's a valid breakout. But look what happens. The next bar, it fails to follow through and actually gives us a red sell bar. In other words, the market has failed to follow through. What that means is the high volume on the previous bar, this one here, was actually selling volume by professionals coming in and wanting to short the market. In other words, it's a classic fake out. If I now turn training mode off, you can see the market has now declined very nicely indeed. Our initial target would be the DP from the prior swing down here, which is where the market's got to, and you can do your manual risk reward in and around the red sell bar down to that target there, and as you can see that would have been a nice 2.7R profit. So a very, very good trade. Remember, we use correct position sizing to keep our initial risk small under control. You'll notice that here the risk is in dollars because my account is in dollars. We can change the account here, so if you have a euro account then your initial risk would be in euros, but we change the tick or the pip size depending on your trading futures or forex based on your account size, so that means your initial risk is always and your profits are always in your account default base account balance. It keeps your initial risk constant over all your particular trades. So I wanted to have a look at this because this was a perfect example of our VS setup where we had the market, this bar here, go beyond a prior important psychological level, giving our VS indication there on our volume. The market then fails to follow through, in other words reverses at the next level, but the important thing is not that it's just reversing, is where it reverses, and this is our DP off the prior pivot. Why is that important? Because that gives you the level at which the professionals are stepping in and reversing the market. In other words, it allows you to do a low risk trade setup in and around that reversal, because the reversal is not just happening any old place, it's actually happening at an important resistance level. We also have the ability to have a target that then allows you to build your trade setup in and around this reversal spike, just like that, which allows you to keep your initial risk small and have your profit large in relation to the initial risk. So the tools in MTPredictor give you added advantage over just knowing that this is a potential fake out. Remember earlier, I'll just take that off, I said this was a 5-wave sequence going up into here. What normally happens is the market tends to go back to the DP from the prior wave 4, which is exactly what happens here. If the market goes beyond this or goes below this DP level, then the entire prior sequence is likely to be reversed. And that means that the market is likely to go down to the DP from the start of the sequence or here. So it'll be very interesting to see on this particular trade setup, I'll just put the analysis on again, on whether the market does stop here and you come out with a nice 2.7R profit, or indeed whether later in the day the market reverses and goes back down to this level here for a potential 5.2R profit. But either way, it would be a good profit and a great example of our VS setup. Remember, we are looking for a bar that makes a move beyond a prior psychological important level, reverses at our DP level like that, catching the high perfectly, with the indication of our volume spike on our volume there. That shows you this is then a move by the professionals in the opposite direction and a classic fake out. So a great example of the MTPredictor VS trade setup there. If I just place the analysis on again, for at least at the first target there, at least a potential 2.7R profit.